that song, but the song is Turn It On Again by Genesis. It's like, let's turn this thing on, okay? Is everybody ready to have a fun time tonight? It's so nice to have you all here. I am so honored, so honored. I just see so many people that I want to talk to, so you're going to have to wait around after tonight this is done. But we have many great guests here tonight, and this is our first of 4 celebrations for our 75th anniversary. USTA Florida, 75 years. Give it a... So, before we start, I want to make sure that almost everybody's going to stand up here for a second, but I want to just let everybody know the special VIPs that are here tonight. So right now, let me get my board members to stand up real quick. My current board members, Chuck Gill, Dana Andrews, and Adam Ross are here. Thank you. Very instrumental in helping us get this 75th going, and I really appreciate their work and their time that they put in. We have a fantastic board. So our foundation board members that are here, Don Davis, Nancy Horowitz, and Russell Kelly. Okay. Everybody looks so good tonight, too. It really, really does. How about all of my committee chairs, task force chairs, and if you're a committee member or a task force member, please stand up as well. Thank you. These are the people right now that are really getting the work done here in USTA Florida, along with Laura and her wonderful staff. But these are the volunteers that are really heading up what's happening here in USTA Florida now. But let's move on. Okay. USTA national people that are here tonight. Craig Morris, Tracy Davies, Diego Angel. Where are they at? Nice to have you come all the way down. From PTR, Milena Vitos. Okay. Florida Tennis Magazine, Matt Pressman. Continuing the legacy here in Florida. Our community partners, James Champion from First Serve Miami. Angie Rivera from First Serve Miami. Doug Wiley from the Orange Bowl Committee. Lisa Puglisi Lacroix, and I've got that right, from LSA, and all the rest of you. Give yourselves a round of applause. All my VIPs. Thank you so much for being here. So, USTA Florida, we have 4 of these going on through the state. We have such a rich history with USTA Florida. I am so blessed to be the president at this time because I've gotten to meet so many people that have made such a difference in the tennis world, and I look forward to meeting everybody else, and there's people in here I look forward to meeting too tonight. But the history is so rich, and what we do, we have a video right now to show you some of our past history. So let's see that.
Florida, the Sunshine State, where dreams are made and legends are born. Today, we're not here to talk about just any legends. We're here to celebrate the legacy of 75 years of Florida tennis, a journey that has left an indelible mark on the world of tennis. It all began in the late 1940s, when the Florida Lawn Tennis Association was born. Competition in the state was so robust that Florida players felt they would be better served with their own association governing play in the state. Founding fathers Eddie Herr, Gardner Malloy, Edward Turville, and Clarence Vardner boldly planted seeds for Florida tennis's independence by first departing the Southern Lawn Tennis Association to form the Florida Lawn Tennis Association. Meeting for the first time in Miami Beach, the organization elected Ed Turville as the very first president. In the decades that followed, the decision to become an independent organization would result in Florida becoming a driving force for adult and junior competition. The watch circuit, junior team tennis, and adult leagues all took root in Florida and blossomed throughout the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. At the same time, public tennis center investment grew, giving us more public places to play per capita than any other state. Innovation didn't stop there. With the creation of the Florida Section Foundation, the organization became focused on serving even more players. Tenis para Todos, Special Olympics and the introduction of the Play Tennis license plate laid the groundwork for funding more programs and play than ever before. Florida, a hotbed of tennis legends, has been home to many of the greatest players in the game. Legends like Chris Evert, Andy Roddick, Marty Fish, and the iconic Venus and Serena Williams played here. It's where I picked up my first racket, right here in Miami, and started my own tennis journey, where I played on the world stage and had the chance to build a career on and off the court. The magic of Florida tennis is all around us. It's in our history, it's in our people, and it's in our volunteers and all the communities we serve. As we celebrate 75 years of Florida tennis, let's remember the pioneers, the players, and the countless moments that made it all possible. The past has paved the way for our incredible success today, and it foreshadows a future brighter than we can even imagine.
Yes, definitely. We have such a rich history, and there's no better place to be again in Miami and South Florida, because this is where it started, USTA Florida. When I started, it was in Pompano Beach before we moved forward. So it's so good to be here and celebrate with you. We have a number of legends in tennis, and legends to me are people that make the changes in tennis. Hall of Fame members are ones that either played their way to making a change and making a contribution, or volunteering for making a change in our section and furthering tennis. So right now, if I could get all of the Hall of Fame recipients from the past to stand up so we can recognize you. And there are quite a few. Of course, Mary Joe. So we have that deep history. And just, we have lost a couple legends lately. I just want to bring them up. So Andy Brandy passed us last year. Andy, of course, was the women's coach at University of Florida. And God bless him, because I'm a coach of a women's team. But he won 3 national championships. He meant a lot to tennis for those ladies. He had the highest winning percentage in NCAA history, by the way. It was a .915 winning percentage the years he was there. That's amazing. That is amazing. So he has his tennis side. He coached many, many great players, including Kathy Rinaldi, Carleen Bassett, Lisa Puglisi, LaCroix, and many others. But he did so much for our Florida section. He coached for Love Serving Autism. He served on a number of committees up until 2014, and he also was on the 2006 and on the 2007 board of directors. I had a chance, of course, to meet him during my time, and Andy was one of those gentlemen that had just a true passion for the game. And whenever anything got brought up into a committee or on the board, it was, how does it affect tennis, and what do you mean for tennis? And so, and Andy, we will miss you. So the other person we really just lost, and Jim Martz. Jim got our Media Excellence Award in 1980, and I'm kind of reading off here. He's the founder and editor of Florida Tennis Magazine. He was the tennis writer for the Miami Herald. But digging through his bio and some of the stuff, he meant so much to so many up-and-coming players in Florida. And he was a champion of the game. He just was in, how do I put it, submersed in Florida tennis. And he was able to write about it with the passion that we needed at the time for tennis. The other thing with Jim is the Florida Tennis Magazine, if you remember, he got that all together. That's what kept the tennis world in touch with each other, and it kept you apprised of what was going on in the section. And this was before social media, right? So Jim Martz, he was truly a trailblazer, and we definitely will miss him. There is a celebration of life for him. It's tomorrow at March 8th at 2 p.m. and it's at the Frank Veltri Tennis Center. Their QR code is up there if you'd like to get more information on that. But Jim will be missed as well. So, okay, moving on. Someone else we lost. I'm going to have the distinct pleasure of bringing somebody into the Hall of Fame tonight that meant a lot for USTA Florida. Susan Allshouse, and I know Nancy. Susan was a true giver to the game. Susan gave all of her time, all of her effort. It didn't matter who you were. You know, she was a coach, and you're going to see in a second. And she truly embodied what it meant to be a volunteer in USTA Florida. And I'm going off here now. Susan doesn't have any family here tonight. But what I'm going to say is Susan has family here tonight. Okay, so I want you to enjoy this video that was put together for Susan to be inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Susan was a mentor in so many ways. Susan had the ability to bring people together. She was a true leader. Her passion for doing things in the community and getting the community interested in tennis was amazing.
Her true belief about tennis was that it would change the life of a child in a good way.
She always felt like she had some information to give or some experience to share.
When she said something, it was something that would affect the future of the organization.
She would teach parents, PE instructors, high school coaches, youth tennis coaches, and other teaching pros how to teach.
Her philosophy was, if we could get to as many schools as possible, we will have more people playing the game of tennis.
She loved tennis, she loved the USTA, and she wanted to share that love with other people.
We were both on the ground floor of the grant review committee for the Share the Love program. We kind of built that program from the ground up together.
Being the chair of the committee, she made sure everybody on her committee had that same commitment and gave their input.
Susan was very thorough and knowledgeable, so that when we had questions about grant reviews, we would go to Susan. When you would get a response from Susan, it was never going to be a short email. It was always going to be well thought out, well detailed, and usually very knowledgeable about the subject matter.
She always made a point to share USTA history with me, her institutional knowledge, because she wanted me to enjoy volunteering as much as she did, and she achieved that.
She had so many different ideas coming from her perspective, which was a pro, a tennis director, a coach, so everything put together made her very special.
Susan's passion for tennis was truly felt with Special Olympics. She had a purpose that she wanted the athletes and the coaches all to have a good time when they were participating in it.
Susan believed that it didn't matter what your disability was, you were able to play tennis. And she definitely wanted people of all ages, all abilities, to enjoy the game.
She frequently came to our nomination committee meetings right after having come off the court with the Quick Start kids. And she always had wonderful stories about how they picked things up so quickly, how much she liked the program, and how much good it was doing.
She was a definite standout at the USPTA, and for USTA Florida, we were extremely lucky to have her and enjoy her ability to teach, train, and coach.
Susan's really missed. She's missed in Miami-Dade, she's missed in Florida, she's missed by friends and volunteers.
All of us whom she taught, all of us whom she helped are her legacy. We're here volunteering because of her.
It can be summed up best by her own words in her 2015 Female Merit Award application. It doesn't matter what others are doing, it matters what you are doing. It takes courage to take risks and to go where there are no guarantees, but we need to intentionally seek out difficult tasks. Be unique, be memorable, be confident, be proud, and have the courage to accept that you're not perfect. Nothing is and no one is, and that's okay.
And there shouldn't be a dry eye in the house, okay, after that. This one's for Susan. So for all of you that are her family and her extended family, this one is for you. And I'm proud to induct Susan Allshouse into the USTA Florida Hall of Fame. So okay, Hall of Fame people. There's Hall of Fame people. And then a lot of them have been our leaders in our section and leaders of the game. So every organization needs those leaders. Right now, what I'm going to do is we're going to bring some past presidents up on the stage. So when I call you up, I'd love to have you come up this side of the stage and come up with me on the stage, because you need to be up here. So let's start. Jean Mills. Where's Jean? Jean was my first. I said that earlier. She was my first president when I came in 25 years ago. On the 50th, it was my first celebration. And I'm just going to tell you a real quick story about, and some of you have heard this before. When I came in the organization, Nancy Morgan brought me in. She was becoming president-elect. And I became district director when we had district directors. And young guy, and I had a lot more hair, as you saw in some of those pictures. It was down to here, I think. And we had our 50th celebration down south here, and I flew into it. And I got to the airport, and I'm in my jeans and t-shirt, and I'm packing one bag, and it was a black tie event that you guys held. It was a beautiful event. And when I got to the airport, I went and got my luggage, and all of a sudden I look, and there's a guy with a placard. It's got my last name on it. And I go, gee, I have transportation. And Lynn Salas, of course, had transportation to the hotel and to where the event was being held. And so I followed him out to the curbside, and he brought me out, and I was the only one there. And there's this stretch limo sitting there. And Lynn had ordered limousine service for the board members. And I went, wow, what an organization this is. I said, I can't believe it. So I got in the limo, and everybody watches me get in, and I was just amazed, and it was such a wonderful, Mary Jo was there, and it was an amazing thing. And then the next annual meeting came, and I went, oh, okay, this is where we are. But Jean, thank you for being my first. So next I want to introduce Dana Andrews. No, stay over here for me. You're staying. You're staying. Dana right now is my last. So Dana just came out of president, and Dana Andrews, and she was the past president. She's now section delegate. And without Dana's help, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing with our committees and our volunteers right now to get the work done, because Dana's been a mentor for me coming in as president. So thank you for coming up and doing this. I know. Nancy Horowitz. Come on up, Nancy. I'll never forget Nancy and the Madonna dances she would do, and she had a tennis ball on her head at one meeting. Things that I'm not going to do on the stage. I'll sing, but I'm not going to be Madonna or do all those things. So Nancy Horowitz. Bob Fender. Come on up, Bob. Another great mentor of mine. Past president. I can tell you some stories about Bob and New York, and I'm not going to tell too many with a Broadway show, but Bob, a definite leader of this group. So thank you for being here. Don Davis. Don Davis. Without Don, my organizer, he is the master of an Excel spreadsheet. I would not have gotten through my nominating committee without him. Thank you, Don. Okay. Oh, and there go all my papers. I'll be fine now. We also have Joe Riscato. Not last, but definitely not least. Joe, I remember you from my early days in the section 25 years ago, and the leader he was. And I just remember going to one of those USTA challenges where we go to nationals, and Joe playing singles in that event, and what a player, and you're still a player. So these are your past presidents that are here today. Please give them a round of applause. Before they leave, you can get a picture up here with my past presidents. I just wanted to bring up, oh, Dana's coming over here again. What do you mean we're still alive? Okay, what I did want to bring up, this is National Women's History Month, and I have three of our ex-presidents on stage right now. Marion Green, if we get to her, who could not be here tonight. She's in Orlando, and I really hope that she's going to make it in Orlando. She's going to. Was our first women's president in 1986. Our section has always been forward-thinking, and early on, we had an early women president, and as a matter of fact, B.A., Dana's dad was the one that
Put her in that.
who installed her into that. And so let's give it up for Marion Green. And she will be there. So we've had 8 women as past presidents. During this month, we want to honor them, and there they are. So anyway, oh my goodness, I'm honored to have this on my stage right now, and this is all worth it just tonight. So, but anyway, give a round to our past presidents and our leaders, and you can. Okay, Dana. Dana wanted a round, but that's okay. So anyway, we're going to move on now to one of the nicer portions of this. So Mary Joe Fernandez. And I'm going to read your bio here in a second, but I had the honor, and I know she doesn't remember, because it was my first meeting, and I got to see all the stars at the 50th. And it was a pleasure meeting you then, and you have done so much for Florida tennis, but I'm going to read this bio on you. And former professional tennis player Mary Joe Fernandez currently works as an ESPN broadcast analyst for tennis events. Born in the Dominican Republic and raised in Miami, Fernandez enjoyed a successful career on the WTA Tour with 7 career singles titles, 17 in doubles, and being ranked as high as number 4 in the world. And I had to check that out today, because I was like, is that number 4 in singles or doubles? And I was told it's in both. So, and we love doubles. I love doubles, being a college coach. So congrats on that. Fernandez first came to the tennis world's attention as an outstanding junior player, winning 4 straight Orange Bowl titles in 1985 at the age of 14 years and 8 days. Fernandez became the youngest player to win a main draw match at the US Open. I can't imagine that, 14 years old. So the following year, Mary Jo turned professional, and then before retiring in the year 2000, she compiled a 437 win and 203 loss record. Amazing as a singles player. And in doubles, she was 344 and 141. Again, doubly is amazing. She appeared in a Grand Slam final 3 times, Australian Open in 1990 and 1992, and in the French Open in 1993. She also enjoyed success in doubles, winning 2 Grand Slam events, the 1996 French Open with Lindsay Davenport and the 1991 Australian Open with Patty Fendick. In addition, she and Gigi Fernandez, no relation to the two of you, won the gold medal in doubles at the 1992 and the 1996 Olympic Games. She won the bronze in the singles in 1992 and was a member of the winning 1996 United States Fed Cup squad. Fernandez later served as coach of the U.S. Fed Cup team for 8 years. God bless you. And she also coached the women's U.S. Olympic team in both 2012 and 2016. She's married to Tony Godsick, who I got to meet earlier, and he wants me to ask you some really interesting questions, and has 2 children, Isabella, who's 22 years old, and Nicholas, who's 19 years old. So I am so honored to have you here on the stage tonight, and USTA Florida is honored to have you here and celebrate with you. So without further ado, I want to introduce Mary Joe Fernandez.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
So nice, so kind. This is such an honor for me. This is where it all started, in Miami. When I look back and I see so many familiar faces, we were talking earlier, I think I won my first Orange Bowl here at the Biltmore against Gabriella Sabatini, my really good friend, way back when. So it was my first. Then we went to Salvador Park. I know Robert Gomez is here. He does a great job running Salvador Park, and that was the second one. The third one was at the Marriott by the airport. That wasn't as nice, but it was good. And then, of course, Flamingo Park was very special to me. But I want to thank everyone who put this night together, because I know it took a lot of hard work, so I want to get that out of the way first. And Laura, I don't know where you are, the lights are bright, but thank you and your team, Molly and Amy and Danielle. You guys worked tirelessly to put this together, so thank you so, so much. It was a lot of fun doing the voiceover for that video and reminiscing on the history of USTA Florida. Back then it was the Florida Tennis Association when I was growing up. It just reminded me of all the volunteers. We have the past presidents here, board of directors, how much work goes into making your section, in my opinion, the best section in the country. My husband took me away for a bit, for 20 years. We raised our kids in Ohio, which was lovely, and the section there, I'm not going to say anything, but it was very nice. Happy to report that I live in Florida again, and my husband's become a Floridian. As long as he doesn't go to I-95, he's happy, so we're good about that. But Florida was the ideal place, to start my tennis career. The weather, the access, as you saw in the video, to all the courts, the competition, all the legends that have come through here. My idol was Chris Evert. I looked up to her when I was growing up, and her dad Jimmy had that great academy up in Fort Lauderdale. And then we had the best coaches, I think, in the country. And one of my very first coaches, I think I was 8 years old. He's here tonight, Don Petrine. He developed me. He developed my game. And Don literally knows so much about the game, is so patient. He was a little tougher back then than he is now, but he stuck with me for a really long time and continued to be my mentor, my friend. He's helped my son, who plays tennis, along the way. His wife wasn't so nice to me when I first started, because she used to drop shot me all the time and sort of underhanded, Elizabeth, but we became really good friends after that. So really lucky. I get asked all the time, oh, you're from Florida, did you go to an academy? Academies are great, but being in Florida, you didn't really need to go to an academy, because you had great coaches like Don Petrine. Couple people that are not with us anymore that played a big role for my career were Garner Malloy. You saw him in the video. My mom, who's with us tonight, didn't really believe my dad when he said, I think Mary Jo's not bad at tennis. And she was like, what are you talking about? No, I think we should, explore, and maybe put her in some tournaments. She was like, no, let's find someone who knows a thing or two about the sport. So she found Garner Malloy. I think he was at the California Club at the time. I was 6 years old. And Garner hit with me for an hour and didn't say anything during the lesson. And afterwards, he told my mom and dad, put her into tournaments. Have her play as many tournaments as you can so she learns how to lose. Well, my parents took that literally, and I was playing a tournament every weekend, and I was losing every single weekend. And for the St. Petersburg College that's here, the girls, I'm so happy you're here. It taught me a lot. I learned a lot. And you have to learn how to be a good sport when you lose, a good sport when you win. And that competition just made me better and better. My very first tournament was at Mora Park with the great Bobby Curtis as my tournament director. One of my favorite human beings, so kind, and loved tennis. Talk about having a passion for the sport. And then Phil, you talked about Jim Martz. I actually saw Jim Martz at the Orange Bowl this year, and he wrote about it. He wrote about me. He always promoted tennis, promoted me in the Miami Herald. I got to go to the White House with Jim Martz, which was fabulous, and they all will be missed. But I'm very lucky, very grateful for tennis. It's afforded me so many opportunities. I met my husband through tennis. I have my whole family here, and I'm gonna get teary, but they're the best family in the world. But I'm really, really honored for this night. This is very special. Thank you.
All right. Hey, Mary Jo, thank you for those words.
Yep.
And I was going to mention my team in a minute because I want you to address them in a second.
Okay.
But we have a video here of some
Okay.
people that wanted to say hi to you.
Oh, boy.
So let's roll that video.
You've done a lot of things in USTA Florida that no one else has done, one of them being your 4 Orange Bowl championships, a record that I don't think is going to be broken. So congrats on everything, and you certainly deserve it.
When they do tell stories of the great Mary Joe Fernandez, they'll talk about how dedicated you were, they talk about how focused you were, but they'll also speak about the lovely person you are too, and how you're always ready to help everybody at an instant's notice, as you're always ready to share. You're such a team player. So perhaps that's even more important than all of the achievements, and there were many that you achieved throughout the course of your career. But just many congratulations on a small part of what I'm sure is going to be a very large legacy that you lead for all of those that follow in your footsteps down in Florida. Congratulations.
Hey Mary Jo, just want to say congrats. Not only are you a Florida tennis legend, but you're a worldwide tennis legend.
Mary Jo, congratulations to the all-time great Florida tennis players. I got Andre Rublev just stepping in my video because he wants to say congratulations too. So listen, we're all sending our best. No one's better than MJ.
It's deserved. It's an honor. I'm proud of you. I'm proud just to know you. Congratulations, Mary Jo.
Mary Jo, Francis Tiafo here. Thank you for everything you did for the game. You were so big for American tennis, and you will be for so long. Incredible person, and thank you for helping me on my first volley in Boca.
Hi Mary Jo, it's Coco here, and I just want to say congratulations on being honored by USTA Florida. What you've done in your career has been incredible, and for me, knowing you as a person and knowing what you stand for and all the advice that you have given me has helped me become a better player and person and enjoy this sport.
Well, Mary Jo,
Okay.
let's sit and have a talk.
All right.
Okay. Because normally you ask the questions.
I know. I'm on the
and
receiving end tonight.
You're going to be on the receiving end tonight. And I have to do this because I have to introduce a group of ladies that we were talking
Yes.
earlier. And by the way, I have questions for Mary Jo. We might go off script. and you said it was okay. Okay?
I'm ready.
But I have to recognize my team back there, St. Petersburg College, the women's tennis team. Please stand.
They're shy. Come on.
They're shy.
Stand
up, ladies. And I'm sorry?
What's their ranking?
Oh, their ranking right now, they're number 4 in the country.
Woo! Awesome.
Tomorrow afternoon, they play the number 2 in the country, and we were planning on taking that tomorrow. They had a great trip in Texas, and I don't want to take away from your time, but this goes to the first question. Risa, my assistant coach, Risa Yamaguchi, please stand. Because we talked all night about women in tennis, and you're huge in tennis. So, ladies, you want to do anything?
Let's go, Titans!
All right, thank you. You can have a seat.
That's awesome.
We've been talking all night about women in tennis and what they mean to the sport. If you could give them one piece of advice on what they should think about, or just one piece of advice moving forward in their tennis career, what would it be?
That's a tough one. Just one piece of advice.
Well, you can give more than that.
I'm going to give a few
time.
more than one piece. First of all, I think tennis is a phenomenal sport for both boys and girls, but particularly for girls. It's global. You get to learn so much about all these characteristics that are going to do you and serve you well in the future. I was always a big believer that tennis is character building. You learn patience, you learn discipline, you learn sacrifice, you learn to win, you learn to lose, you learn to be a good teammate, which is really important. I was very fortunate. I grew up without social media. I think my biggest advice, you guys are not going to like me for saying this, is don't listen to social media and stay off it as much as you can. It's pretty vicious out there, and you don't need it. Virginia Wade, the great Virginia Wade, told me when I was young one piece of advice, and she said, never read anything that's written about you, Mary Jo, because if it's good, it's going to go to your head, and if it's negative, it's going to bring you down. And I feel like social media does that on the minutes, right? On the hourly. So I would recommend to continue to pursue your dreams. If you have a passion for tennis, stick with it. Hard work. Nothing is better than hard work. Hard work goes a long way, whether you're talented or not. You know, making sure you look back and you say, I gave it my all. Whatever it is you choose to do. But if it's tennis, just put in the work, quality over quantity, and you're going to grow as a person through this terrific sport.
Thank you so much. That's good advice, and of course, I'm using this because they have a big match tomorrow.
So where's the
so
match
what
tomorrow?
Better? Tomorrow it is in St. Petersburg.
Okay.
So they have to drive home in the morning. It's almost like an away match.
So you got to go to bed early.
Yes, they will. But what a great piece of advice, and thank you so much for doing that. But let's talk about when you were young. Okay. What was it like to grow up down here in Miami and play with your sister and your dad?
It was great. My sister's with us tonight, my big sister, and I give her the credit for me playing because she was my older sister. She had a bad back at the time, and the doctor recommended that she exercise, and they thought tennis would be good for strengthening muscles around her injury. And my dad would take her after school every day to hit balls, and I would tag along. I was the annoying one that was following and trying to hit balls against the wall and against the fence, and I loved it. And at that time there were no little rackets. At that time they were all the wooden rackets, normal heavy-sized rackets. And my dad, I remember, took a racket. I think it was a Jack Kramer, and he cut the grip in half and he shaved the handle so it'd be tiny so it would fit my hand, and I just took it everywhere, and I loved it. We grew up in Kendall Lakes, southwest Miami, and the local pro in Kendall Lakes, he was from Peru, his name was Tom Gonzalez, one day went up to my dad and said, I've been watching your daughter play, I'd like to give her lessons. And my dad thought he meant my sister. And he's like, well, she's got an injury, she doesn't, love it that much. He's like, no, the little one, she has good eye-hand coordination. So that's where it all started, and then that's when my mom came into the picture. She had never played tennis, never really followed it, and said, well, we're in Florida, let's find out from some experts what to do here.
Right.
And that's when Garner Malloy gave us that advice to play lots of events and to compete. And for me, that was really important. I know there's different routes to success, and you see the Williams sisters didn't compete that much as youngsters, and it worked out, but they had each other, so they competed against each other a lot. But I'm a big believer in competition. Again, it teaches you so much about life and about yourself, and it was great. I was playing every weekend. But I'm going to tell a really cute story about my dad. My dad was tough, and he's the one who was like, okay, Saturday we're going to hit on the wall, or we're going to hit on the ball machine. Don will remember well. He was at all my practices. But one weekend we were going up to Orlando to play a tournament. And halfway up to Orlando, he looks in the back seat and he says, so Mary Jo, if you could go to Disney World this weekend or play the tournament, what would you rather do? So I thought, oh dear, this is a trick question. Like, really? Like, am I going to get in trouble here? And I said, well, Dad, I'd rather go to Disney World. He goes, done, we're going to Disney World. So I think that's really important for all of you young ones and parents. It's got to be fun. Tennis was fun for me. I never got tired of it. I never got burnt out from it. And a lot of it had to do with my parents and my coaches just making it fun for me and knowing that was really important.
That's good. And it's good to hear those childhood stories of just being local and just going to the court and just learning. And I love how your first, I never knew that, your first racket, the way it used to be.
That's right.
Of shortening up a racket, so that's great. So let's move on a little bit. The Orange Bowl, you had a number of consecutive wins. Mm-hmm. And that's such a great event. So, how do you feel like that set you up for the rest of your career?
The Orange Bowl was instrumental in setting me up. Like I said, I won my first one here at the Biltmore, but I played my first one in Coral Oaks. I think I was nine years old. And then I played at Salvador, and I lost to Steffi Graf in the semifinals. And I played a Maleva sister for third place. And I remember Sabatini was there too. And as we went through the years, Steffi won, I think, the 18s when she was 13, and then Gabby won it, also. And it was like a stepping stone to the Pro Tour. So I would play locally, I would play, all the state tournaments. Nationally, and then the Orange Bowl was the big international one that was here in my backyard. So it was so nice. It ended on Christmas Eve, and fortunately, because I did well, I always had a really nice Christmas. But it was a stepping stone. Everybody who won the Orange Bowl most likely turned pro. So it was just kind of a natural progression. It was never something that was planned. We were talking earlier with Dana about education and school, and my mom and dad were really big on schooling and getting good grades and setting yourself up for the future. And yes, Steffi dropped out of high school, Gabby dropped out of high school, the Malevas dropped out of high school. My parents were like, that's not going to happen here. That's not happening. So I'm not so sure it was so much my choice to stay in school, but my parents were pretty adamant about it. And I look back and I'm so grateful that I stayed in high school. And my mom always said, you can go back to college at any age, but it's kind of tough to go back to high school when you're in your late 20s, 30s. So I went to Carrollton in Coconut Grove, and I actually played high school tennis my 7th and 8th grade, which was so much fun. And then I turned pro my freshman year, but I stayed with it. I played mainly in the summertime, and whenever I had a break, I didn't go to Australia until I graduated high school, until I was 18. But the Orange Bowl, it played a tremendous part in shaping me to go pro.
Good, and amazing. It's all amazing to me. Like I said, I've been studying, reading about you, and it's like, it's things you don't know. But again, 7 career singles titles, 17 doubles titles, okay, ranked as high as number 4 in both, okay. I'm reading my question, but I have another question for
Okay.
you too. But what factor contributed the most to your professional career? And I also want you to add something in there about doubles, because we don't hear enough about doubles anymore.
I love doubles. When I played, and my first national, I won. Gene Mills was my tournament director at Lavers, 12 and unders. And back then, nobody told me you could serve and stay back like they do now. Everybody had to serve and volley, and I served 2 miles an hour, but served and came in, and that's what developed my game. That's what developed my volleys. And I improved by playing doubles, and doubles more fun than singles, having somebody on the court to share it with. I was really lucky in my career. I had really good partners, from Zena Garrison to Monica Seles to Lindsay Davenport, Patty Fendick, Gigi, of course, at the Olympics was incredible. So I'm a big believer in youngsters learning how to play the game of doubles. My son is in college now, and he's a freshman playing, and doubles is a big part of college tennis, as you know. That
Yes.
point is really, really important. So it's important to learn how to work together, chemistry, figure out strengths and weaknesses to make a good team. For singles, ironically, I had better results in doubles than I did in singles, but I trained for singles. That was my main goal, and that was my purpose. It was tough. It was tough out there. I started with Chrissy and Martina when I was 14. They were 1 and 2 in the world. And then fast forward, I had to go or try to go through, I never went through them, Steffi and Monica. The slam finals, I played those two, were the two players that I came across. And then I played Lindsay and Martina Hingis, and then I finished with the Williams sisters. That's when I knew it was time to retire. So, really fortunate that I got to play the best of the best of the best, but it was tough. And the transition from juniors to pros was difficult because in the juniors I was winning a lot, and I was winning a lot of tournaments. I was playing a lot. And then all of a sudden you turn pro, and you don't win that much anymore. You might have a great week, and you might get to the quarters or the semis or maybe a final here and there, but you're not winning. And that's, I think, the tough part about tennis. It's mentally tough because unless you win that week tournament, you're losing every week. So you need to get thick skin, and you need to persevere. It took me 4 years to win my first tournament. I won my first professional tournament when I was 18. So, you just need to learn how to persevere, plug away, have good resiliency, but feel very fortunate that I got to play all those greats.
Nice. Okay, let's go on to the team stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Team USA at the Olympics,
Mm-hmm.
Fed Cup, playing for that. And again, what did it mean to you to play on a team with others and trying to go for a common goal?
Yeah. When I look back, the highlight by far was representing my country. And again, tennis being such an individual sport, you would think that it would be another event. But because it was so rare, and because you were coming together, not just for yourself, but for your teammates and your country, it meant that much more if you won. It hurt that much more when you lost. And I was on both sides of it. But the Olympics, you had to pinch yourself when you were there. You grow up watching the Olympics, and when someone from the United States wins a medal, you get the goosebumps and tears in your eyes, and then all of a sudden you're there, and you're like, is this really happening? So those moments I'll never forget. They were tremendous. Being able to go on the other side and give back and be the captain and coach of the Fed Cup, which is now the Billie Jean King Cup, and the Olympics was very rewarding. Billie Jean, I think you saw on the video, I had Marty Reeson was my first Fed Cup captain. I had Martina Navratilova for 1 year, and then I had Billie Jean King. I mean, talk about having to pinch yourself. That was amazing to learn from her and to see her passion and her love of the game and how much she just wanted to help every single player that was on her team. And someone just asked me this the other day, like, what was the best advice she gave you when you became captain? And she said to me, she goes, Mary Jo, it's not about the tennis. It's not about the tennis. And maybe you're good at this. But he goes, you got to be a good shrink. You got to be a good psychologist. You got to know what the player needs. If one likes to be talked to, one doesn't want to be talked to. Are you a little firmer, a little softer? So you got to build that relationship to figure out, how best to mentally help the players on your team. And I had a wide variety of players throughout those 8 years. Had so much fun. I was lucky to be on the court with Venus and Serena. That was a treat, except the time that Serena broke her racket right in front of my leg, and I thought she was going to hit me, but thankfully she hit the ground. But learning from them and seeing how they went about their professional career was inspiring. And yeah, I have great friends now from those experiences.
Yeah. And okay, I'll just piggyback on that. You went from team and you went from player to captain and coach. Mm-hmm. Was that tough for you? Was it a tough transition, or did you see enough as a player that it was a natural?
Well, I feel like I was always a student of the game. I loved watching the game and learning from it. And like I said, I feel like I had the best coaches throughout my career, starting with Dawn. And I learned so much from them. So I think that enabled me to maybe make the transition a little bit easier. But I had my challenging players. I'm not going to name them, but that was a learning curve, how to get through to a player, how to, make them want to work harder, how to get teams. I'm sure all your girls get along really well, but how to get, the teammates to bond and to work together for a common cause. So it was very, like I said before, very rewarding and fulfilling, and some of the best years for sure.
Good. And then from there, it's broadcasting. Mm-hmm. Do you want to say anything about that? I know it's not, but I'm interested. What's it like to be up in the booth and analyze all those players down there where you used to be?
All right, so I'm going to tell you a funny story. Right before I retired, I knew I was going to retire. I had wrist surgery, and I was winding down. And I asked my agent at the time, okay, so what's next? What do I do after I retire? What are the options? And he's like, well, some players go into being touring pros at some resorts. Other players coach. Other players get into commentating. And at the time, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if commentating's for me. Didn't love being in front of the camera. Always been really shy. And he said, well, why don't I see if I can get you on during the U.S. Open for a set with Tracy Austin, and maybe I'll get you with Pam Shriver on ESPN, and see if you like it, see if they like you. So I did a couple sets here and there the year before I retired, and it was good. It was different. I'm going to get to the difficult part in a minute. And then I retire, and ESPN calls and says, we'd love to have you on our team. So I was like, I love tennis. Let's go for it. My first tournament was the Australian Open. Back then, so this is 24 years ago, back then the Australian Open was always on tape delay because of the time change. And my producer, on day one, I'm calling a match with Pam, and a set finished, and it starts to rain. So they go off the court, they're going to close the roof, they're going to come back out, but my producer says in our ear, don't refer to the rain, don't refer to the roof being closed, we're putting this together, it's just going to be like one, smooth transition, don't talk about it. So I said, got it, no problem. Well, I forgot what he said within the first 10 minutes, because the player that was losing started to win, and I said, well, since the roof is closed and the conditions are different, the match is now a little bit different. And he starts yelling at me, 4-letter words, and I stopped talking. And I was like, oh no, I messed up. So I go home that night, and Tony, my husband's like, so how'd it go? How was your first day? I said, I don't think this is going to be for me. I said, I just left a really stressful job. I don't need another really stressful job. I said, I don't think so. So of course, Tony found my producer. What did you do to my wife? What did you say? She doesn't want to go back to work. And he's like, I'm sorry. He apologized, and he brought me flowers the next day. And anyway, so that was my first big day of work. But the hardest thing that I'm now, 24 years later, gotten used to, is you guys don't realize that when we're commentating, they're constantly in our ear. They're talking to us the entire time. So I've learned how to tune them out. Because before they would talk and I'd stop talking. And they'd be like, no, keep going, keep going. And I'm like, but you're talking to me. I need to hear what you're saying. So now I tune them out, I finish my thought, and then I hit my little button, my talkback button. I said, what did you say? What do you need? What's coming up next? So it's been great. I love broadcasting. I love watching tennis. I don't get tired of it. My husband gets really mad at me at night because we'll go to bed and I'll put the tennis channel on and he'll be like, I cannot go to bed listening to another, tennis ball being hit. Stop it. But I wait 5 minutes, he falls asleep, and then I put it back on.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we brought that up. I can just say that you're one of the best commentators out there.
You're
you
sweet.
Have,
Thank you.
Am I? It's and for what you did that first day. Now I love the story too, because fans would want to hear that, and it's an actual part of the match, and why wouldn't anybody want to know that? So, and then the second thing I'm going to just say from that is, as a player, you have people yelling in your ear all the time as well, right? You have to focus and you have to play.
Yes.
So, you truly have done it all, from, seriously, from becoming a beginning player all the way up in broadcasting and what do you want to be remembered for?
Ooh, that's deep.
That's deep.
That's deep.
That's deep.
I guess someone who loved tennis so much, who really had a passion for the game and gave back whenever possible, stayed involved. I hope that tennis continues to be part of my life forever. I'm really happy that my son plays. I enjoy so much watching him play. I tried to get my daughter to play. She actually played high school tennis, but she didn't love it, unfortunately. So she chose lacrosse, which is fine. I'm not upset about it.
Are you a good parent?
I try to be.
Okay.
Not, good days, bad days, right? But no, I love the sport. So I think I want to be remembered for someone who just gave back and, hopefully inspired and was a good role model to the next generation.
Good. Well, that being said, with everything we've gone through and almost your last answer just kind of, you love tennis. I can tell that. For our volunteers out there and for the people in the Florida section, any last parting words that you'd like to have for them as far as any advice?
Well, I think first of all, gratitude. I mean, for everything you guys do. It's so instrumental. It's so important. Know that it's recognized and that people know, how hard it is and what it takes to run a section, and especially the best section. So let's keep it going. Let's make sure that we keep producing stars, but we also continue producing players, and the grassroots, I think, is so important in getting, people involved in the game. There's this little sport that they're playing now. I'm not even going to mention it. We gotta put that on the side. We gotta put that on the side, even though it's fun and it's a lot easier. There's nothing like tennis. You can play it at any age, at any level. It's the best exercise. So thank you for everything that you do. Keep working hard, and if you have a passion for the sport, we welcome anyone who wants to promote the game and stay involved.
Okay. Well, Mary Jo, for myself, and you can give her a yes. Round of applause for that answer, definitely. But for myself, I am blessed to be president during this year, and I am honored to be up here, just to be able to talk to you as a player and a
You're
coach.
a pro. You're a natural, Phil.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're a natural.
Okay, well.
Let's hear it for Phil.
Well, it's just been, this has just been so easy and a nice, easy talk. I can tell you from the bottom of my heart and from the bottom of our section's heart, every person out here, thank you for being a part of USTA Florida. Thank you for being in the Hall of Fame. Thank you for everything you've done. I know you have somewhere to get tonight.
Yeah,
but,
I appreciate it.
But again, from the bottom of my heart and everybody here, thank you so much for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Mary
Thank
Jo
you.
Fernandez, let's give her a round.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That was wonderful.
That's wonderful.
Thanks.
Mary Jo. Mama's got to get a hug there. So, Mama, nice job. You did a great job, huh? So, very nice to have you out. It was a pleasure talking to you earlier. So, guys, that was amazing. I am so glad you guys came out tonight. Again, just saying this, I am humbled to be your president in the 75th. And this is the start of what's happening for our 75th anniversary. And I'm glad it's not one night. I'm glad it's not just one thing. I'm glad we're going to do this throughout the year. And I want to go to other parts of this section and see everybody. Right now, I just want to remind everybody, right now, the Florida Tennis Trail is out there. A couple things. So get out your phone, your camera. Don't go on social media. But you can scan this, and you're going to see the Florida Tennis Trail. Right now, it has 40-plus locations that have been instrumental in the building of Florida tennis, and that's the standard thing. But these are the places that built Florida tennis. Okay, and we're going to be adding to that list all year long. So please get that out and see them. As a matter of fact, they put a slide together. These are some of the local ones here right now, and it's so small, maybe I can. University of Miami, Coral Gables, and I can't read the other two. It's so far away from me. But those are some of the local ones. So please go out there. If there's some place that you know in our section that should be a part of this trail, please feel free to get in touch with me, okay, or Laura, and anybody in the staff, and we'd love to add and keep doing that. So I also want to let you know that the USTA Florida, we have an anniversary event kit. It's an event in a box. So not only do we want to do these 4 big galas, or however you want to call them, celebrations through the state, but if you're hosting an event at your facility or know somebody that's hosting an event, wants to be a part of our celebration, please get in touch with us. There's plenty of stuff we can get you. We really want to get the word out. Okay, Mary Jo mentioned something about that other sport, okay, that makes a lot of noise, okay, and kind of bugs us all. Advocacy is the key out there. And I know I got a couple of minutes here. So make sure if you have an event in your area that you want to be a part of the 75th, again, get your phone out, get that QR code, and let's make sure we add you to the list, okay? And while I have a couple minutes, I just want to thank Laura Bowen. I want to thank Lynn Salas. I want to thank Amy. I want to thank everybody on the staff side of USTA Florida. I'd like to thank all the volunteers, my board, the foundation board. I would really like to thank those that are doing that hard work out there that you don't see. There's work going on every day. I've been in this position now for a year and a couple months, and Dana warned me. There's a lot to this. There's a lot going on in this section that you don't know about, and even here. And I so appreciate every one of you in this room from the past, everyone that's working towards the future, in the present, and everybody that's going to be helping us in the future. So, speaking of the future, our next big event, Mary Jo, you're always welcome to come. It's going to be huge, by the way. Not better than this, just as big. But April 15th, 2024, it's a Monday. It's tax day, right? It's tax day. Blow off the day, come out and join us at the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center. We have a huge, huge event going on then. We'll be putting a lot of people from our section one into the Hall of Fame. We'll be giving out some other awards that the awards committee has been working hard on. And I'm going to tell you, there's some surprises. There's maybe, if you listen, maybe we'll give away a little surprise, but of what's going to happen. But I can tell you, please come out to that. Come out to our celebrations. By the way, the night's not done. We've ended a few minutes early. Stick around and enjoy each other's company tonight. And again, from the bottom of my heart, I really thank you all for coming out tonight. So, thank you. And that's supposed to cue the music.